watching Morning at NTV.
Very good morning once again, and many thanks for staying with us right here on Morning at NTV, the number one breakfast show in the country that is geared towards acquainting you with that information that you need to conquer your day, conquer your week, vis-a-vis conquer your whole careers. Now, in a bid to resuscitate your body's creative processes, you need to be actually taking a sip of Inspire Africa coffee. There's a lot of magic in here, please. I don't have to actually go ahead and talk too much. You just have to grab yourself a cup of Inspire Africa coffee and you'll be able to testify on my behalf. Away from that, the students, the parents, yes, who are there grappling and wondering, but all schools reopen. We are racing to vaccinate 7 million people to ensure a full reopening of the sector, education sector, and also the whole economy. But since that is not happening, we do have a tool that you could use, an educational app, that is ULesson. You don't need a parent to be there, you don't need a teacher to be there, you just need some data in that regard and a gadget to help your learner continue with self-studying. Self-studying did work for us within the 1990s. Education was still underdeveloped, so even right now that the education sector is a bit broken down, the system has broken down, we need to ensure that the learners study on their own, not wait for a teacher or the parent to tell them to do so. Well, I do have Wilfred Nahamya. We want to talk about vocational and technical training or education. How can we make it relevant for the current workplace? We do know that 80% of the courses that are being offered, yes, are not relevant to the workplace. This is information coming in from the Uganda Business, Technical and Examinations Board as of August 22nd. That was around this very year, 2021. They came out and they said we need to ensure that we overhaul the whole vocational and technical education curriculum to ensure that the courses being offered are relevant to the current needs of the job place or the workplace in that regard. So to expand more on this and what is being done as a result of this, we have Deputy Executive Secretary of UBTEB, that is Mr. or Dr. Wilfred Nahamya. He joins me right now. Very good morning, Dr. Wilfred.
Yes, good morning.
All right, you've been here too many times. We've had these conversations on vocational education and training, but you are in the third phase of training of assessors. You're going to be indulging us on that situation, what is going to be expected or anticipated in that regard. Why are you training the assessors and what is the end goal? That's what we want to know. But then overall, let's talk about the whole vocational education and training. We do have government colleges which were built in the 1970s. They are too old, ill-equipped, and they're still offering courses like bricklaying, carpentry, and so forth. Courses that might not be relevant in the current job market. So let's talk about that and a lot more. The current situation analysis of vocational education and training.
Yes, thank you, and good morning, viewers. It is true that we are undergoing a training of instructors and assessors at the Uganda Industrial Training Institute, and we want to continue with the training up to the whole of next week. But the main objective why we are training is that we've discovered that we need to bring the instructors, teachers who have been in the field for some time, to bring them alongside the current reforms. It is very true that some of the courses are a bit irrelevant. They have been overtaken by time, and in line with that, the Ministry of Education put up a reform. There is a TVET reform which was approved in 2019. And in this reform, the emphasis is employer-led, it is industry-led, and where the emphasis now is going to be put on competencies other than holding certificates. Want to emphasize that the
competence-based learning.
Yes, it is a competence-based training, competence-based assessment. So the training aims to retool the teachers, to retool the assessors, and want to do it in such a way that we create a kind of trainers of trainers, so that the few we train can go and train others.
That's confusing a little bit, Dr. Wilfred Nahamya, for the viewers. So you're telling me you are training the assessors who are in turn going to go ahead into the field and train the teachers who are training the students?
Yes, the assessors, at the same time they are teachers.
Indeed.
They are instructors in the technical colleges, in the vocational institutes. And once we train them, we are in the third phase, and we are so far we have trained the 321.
321.
Yes, and now in this training we are going to train 150, so the database is going to increase. But the main objective is that when you train the assessors, then it means that you are making them understand that this training should be aimed at producing the best products, producing the best plumbers, producing the best electricians. But we are also moving beyond that we need a lot to modularize assessment. Modularize it in a way that we want assessment to become cheap. We want training to become cheap. That we are going to into modules which can be very flexible in the assessment. For example, instead of somebody coming to do a whole course for 2 years or so on electrical installation and systems, you could package it in such a way that in 2, 3, 4 months, somebody only comes and does a module on solar system installation. And in that way, somebody can gain full employment as far as solar system is concerned, and the rest of the others. And you talked about bricklaying, that now there has been changes in construction and so on, so that now we are no longer talking about just a bricklayer. There are very many other aspects which have come up, that you want somebody to specialize in tiling. You have a package for tiling. You have somebody to specialize in terrazzo making and several others, whereas we used to talk about only bricklaying, but now people are using blocks, which are not necessarily bricks in our traditional sense. So that is where now but most important is that vocational education and training want to bring the industry, the world of work at the center of training.
Of course, that's what we are going to be talking about, Dr. Wilfred Nahamya. But how many assessors do we need in every jurisdiction of this country to ensure qualitative training and assessment?
We certainly need very many assessors. But of course, sometimes the resources can't allow train them at the same time. So we are targeting 1,000 assessors, and so far as I hinted on, we are now moving towards 400. And we feel that once we get more support, we have had the support from the government of Uganda and the Uganda Skills Development Project, which is a World Bank supported project, and we feel that in the next 3 years, we should achieve that target. And then that would make really our graduates in the TVET sector compete in the region and even beyond.
Some of the institutions that you examined, Dr. Wilfred Nahamya, were actually built in the 1970s during the Amin era. 2 old dilapidated buildings, ill-equipped and so forth. We also wanted you to address the concerns that have been coming in. The people are saying the courses that are being offered by these institutions are not at par with what is needed in the world of work. What is being done by UBTEB?
Yeah, it is true that a number of some of the institutions were built in the 70s, but I'm glad to inform viewers that there has been a lot of efforts. In the technical colleges we've created, there has been centers of excellence, and if you moved to see what is happening in Uganda Technical College Ushen, Uganda Technical College Chichwamba, Lira and Ergon, there has been a lot of support, and with modern equipments being brought. If you came into Ntinda Vocational, which is really here at the center, Ntinda Vocational Institute, it's new. You go to Nakawa, you go to Chiriandongo in Masindi, you would really appreciate.
Dr. Nahamya, those institutions that were built under the NRM are largely offering oil and gas courses. Don't you think we might have an imbalance in the number of professionals we are churning out, in that now the focus is on oil and gas, but we could be having another pertinent focal issue later on in the near future, which is not oil and gas?
Not really. Oil and gas, the specialization now is, the Ministry picked two key institutions, Uganda Petroleum Institute Kigumba and Uganda Technical College Chichwamba. So those are going to specialize in oil and gas. But the rest of the institutions throughout the country are done in such a way that they balance the different trades in construction for Ergon, in manufacturing for Bushenya and Lira, and several other lower level training institutions that
in the midst of these, you know, so many training institutions, Dr. Wilfred Nahamya, we are sending them, you know, they have good results, good paper, then we send them to these Chinese and international companies, and then they send them back and they say, the people you send us are less productive, less skilled, and are not at par with what we really need. What really happens during this process?
Yes, you know, that's why...
The fact that you have very good marks on your paper, then we take you to China, and then the Chinese are like, no, you do not have the skills. Exactly,
because of that, that's why I said we've moved... we want to move away from certificate holding, but to competence. What is it that you can do?
Indeed.
Not the certificate, the first class certificate you hold, but the employers are interested, what can I do? What can Nahamya do? What competencies do you have? And because of that, that's why we've created, they have created, the ministry has created sector skills councils. That is, they are changing the law.
Yes,
into, we are going to have a TVET Act. They are already working on the principles.
Yes.
And after that, they have already now put in place the structure of sector skills. Those sector skills councils operate in such a way that you have one specialized in hotel and hospitality, one specialized in agriculture, one specialized in industry, so that if a curriculum is supposed to be made, then those to take lead are those from those very sectors, because they are the technocrats. But in the previous, what used to happen was that the concentration was the curriculum bodies and the training, just make a curriculum without consulting generally the world of work. So we want them to take lead. And once that is happening, once that one happens, then I don't think our products, our graduates will be discriminated in the globe. I don't think so.
So what will it take to ensure that what we are churning out is what the world needs?
Yes, what it will take is, of course, resources. The reform has a lot of details. We are creating industrial working groups. We are creating those sector skills councils. We are involving everybody, all the key stakeholders, to take part in the training, to contribute in the assessment. How is the assessment done? How is the training done? To ensure that our products are as per the requirements of the world of work. Because once we do that, of course we are not going to achieve this in a short time. It's a long process, because we still have inertia, people with low attitudes about technical vocational education and training, and with a lot of sensitization, I am convinced that the world will appreciate, the world of work will take the lead, and we shall and of course, as Uganda Business and Technical Examination Board, we want to take the lead in these reforms.
All right, the viewer who is watching Morning at NTV, Dr. Wilfred Nahamya, is asking themselves or herself, and they're saying, what about the old and important skill sets, like the watch repairers? You do know them. Also the shoe repairers, the tailors, and the cobblers. What happens to them? We will continue to get assessors for these fields?
Yes, we want to continue with that, and that's in the line with...
watch repairer, remember right now every phone has a radio.
No, we are just moving alongside. How do you package it alongside the new technology coming up?
I see.
So as new technology changes, you may realize that certain things are not, but you still repackage. You repackage that they may still remain relevant. Yes.
Take us through the expectations of this training by the Uganda Business, Technical and Examinations Board. What do you expect to achieve at the end of the day? At the end of the day, we expect that we are going to create a group of instructors that are highly trained in the assessment, and we expect that once they go back in their different institutions, then they are going to engage the trainees, they are going to engage others who may not have got a chance, and then later we create a trainer of trainers. But also, most important, we shall have another phase of training the same people. We want to create some kind of verifiers. Verifiers are like auditors, if I can use the word, of the system.
There are people who are supposed also to audit the very teachers who are teaching. How are you recording the evidence to prove that so and so has learned? Because you can be in an institution for 2 years, for a whole semester, but you actually find that learning has not taken place. So we want to create a system of verifiers who will keep going into our institutions to record evidence, to verify that actually institution X has done what is expected. Besides
issues to do with an outdated curriculum, issues to do with irrelevant courses, what other challenges are befalling the vocational and technical training or education?
Of course, one of the key challenges is that there is still low attitude, and all of us must fight. You know, this thinking
we
that
we are still in that culture of cramming work.
Yes, partly, but also there is that thinking that no. Technical vocational education is for those who have not made it. If I have not made it to Makerere, then so it becomes a second thought. But I'm glad to note that this is changing, though at a very low rate. So that is one of the challenges. But of course also the other major challenge is that unlike our other general education, technical and vocational education is very expensive. It is very, very expensive. So it needs a lot of countries that, of course you're aware that most countries that have made development easy is they have put in a lot of resources. Because if you are training a surveyor, whereas you can train a historian who is using a teacher and a book, but training a surveyor, you need high-level equipment. Training an electrician, you need high-level equipment, and those are very, very expensive. So it is a very expensive, and to me those are key challenges. Of course, there are other small challenges, but those are key challenges. Once we put a lot of resources there, I am very, very sure that even the attitude will change.
Dr. Wilfred Nahamya, the Deputy Executive Secretary for the Uganda Business Technical and Examinations Board, thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you.
And indeed, it's imperative that the parents and also learners alike take it upon themselves to ensure continued learning. We are talking about self-studying. Within the 1990s, it was very, very hard to continue with education. So it was imperative on the learner, you yourself, to actually take it upon yourself to continue with your education. You would talk to your parent, father or mother, and tell them, I need textbook X or Y to actually go ahead and read and get some kind of information. But nowadays, you do have learners who are waiting for teachers. You do have learners who are waiting for their parents to tell them to go and read, and that is a recipe for disaster. You do have parents and learners alike who are waiting for the full reopening of the education sector so that they can get some kind of information imparted into their system. That is a recipe for disaster. Right now is the moment that you should take on and capitalize on to ensure that you acquaint yourself with that information that you really need. The internet is that powerful tool that you could use or maximize on, take advantage of in that regard to ensure that you continue with your education. It's really important that you do not wait for anyone else but yourself. My name is Romeo Busiku. This is Morning at NTV. We've put to rest that conversation on vocational education and training. We are going to be talking about the NSSF Amendment Bill. Will the servers be getting a smile at last? We'll be right back.